What is something that really doesn't sit with you?
Buckle up for this one. Probably gonna have to make a part 2. This story is not new, so if you've heard it, you probably already know what happens. But it is one of the freakiest stories that has happened. So June 1972 in Cedars-Sinai, this woman walks into a hospital, and she's nameless. She was also wearing a bloody gown, and her appearance was mannequin-like. She had no eyebrows, and her makeup was smeared. When she arrived, she also had a kitten in her mouth, and when she pulled it out, she collapsed straight to the floor. She was then rushed to get cleaned up and sedated. They had the idea to restrain her until authorities got there, but they were too scared to look at her face directly. So when she kind of came to, they told her, we're about to sedate you, is everything okay? And she's agreed. Until they started to sedate, and she started to fight back. It took 2 staff members to hold her back until her body arose from the bed. Then she did something very strange. Part 2. So it took 2 staff members to restrain her to the bed. The doctor asked, "What are you?" And she proceeds to smile. And when she smiled, her teeth were now razor sharp, and the teeth looked impossible to fit in her mouth. The authorities arrive, and the doctor turns his back on her. The woman darts at the head doctor and bites him in the neck, puncturing his jugular. When he was dying, she literally tells him, "I am God." The authorities try to overpower her. She ends up massacring a lot of people. One of the surviving nurses call her the Expressionless, and she was never seen again. Ooh.
What is something that really doesn't sit with you?
So something that really doesn't sit with me. Why do they care so much if we get our V shot? Number 1, I know your first answer to that might be, oh, they care about our health, they want to make sure we're safe. You turn every corner of the street and you find a McDonald's. You can turn any corner of the street and there's a liquor store. Every gas station you go to has a wall dedicated to cigarettes, cigars, and vapes. The ingredients on the back of our food got so many chemicals in them to the point where you can't even read the words. So no, it's not about our health. Now, number 2, if they truly think that this V shot is effective, if they truly believe it's going to help us from getting sick, then go ahead and let the people that believe it's effective take it and leave the other people alone. If some shit happens to us, then it happened. Since we made the decision not to take it, at that point, whatever happens, happens, right? But stop being so forceful about us taking it. You want to prevent us from traveling, playing sports, going to certain places if we don't take it. Why they care so much all of a sudden?
What is something that really doesn't sit with you?
Bill Gates went to one of the only high schools in the United States that had a computer.
What is something that really doesn't sit with you?
That people fight for the unborn child, but not the child that's in foster care. Not the children in cages. Not the child that's homeless. Not the child that's hungry. And not the child that is a sex slave.
What is something that doesn't sit right with you?
Traditionally, female spaces being dominated by men as soon as they become profitable. I know I'm not advocating for separate spheres. Do what you want. If you're a man, you want to be a chef. You're a woman, you want to be a chef. Do what you want. But it's the fact that women have been constrained to the kitchen. We've all heard the misogynistic joke, get back to the kitchen, women's place is in the kitchen, right? And that's been how it is for years. And I'm not advocating for that. But as soon as that industry became profitable, say chefs, restaurateuring, women are just gone from it. Like, the majority of chefs are male in the UK, as far as I know. I'm not sure about elsewhere. And that just doesn't sit right with me. Like, why have women been pushed out of the space that they've traditionally been forced into as soon as it become profitable? If there's a reason for it, and women just don't want to be chefs, which I don't believe, do let me know.
What is something that doesn't sit right with you? Devil's Tower be looking an awful lot like a giant petrified tree stump. What is something that doesn't sit right with you?
Aaliyah's death will never sit right with me. Not for any conspiracy theory reasons, but just because it could have easily been prevented. I think that they said the plane was overweight about 700 or 800 pounds. That is a lot. That's a lot. And I didn't know in this particular plane, like, the cargo is put in like the nose of the plane. So that was like really interesting to me. And then the pilot had like logged flight hours that he really had never flown. And then he also had traces of cocaine and alcohol in his system. Also, the initial plane that Aaliyah had taken in it was small, but it was much bigger than the one that she, ended up dying in. I will never forget seeing it on MTV News. And I was like, no, like, Aaliyah was just on 106 in Park. Like, what is going on? It made me so sad. And I know that technically the 90s ended on January 1st, 2000, but I honestly feel like the 90s like ended when Aaliyah passed, and then September 11th happened like right after.
What is something that doesn't sit right with you? The fact that Boo Boo Stewart plays all these Native American roles, but he has little to no Native blood. For example, in Twilight, they wanted Native American actors to prove their Native blood with documents, but Boo Boo was one of the only ones who didn't have to prove it because he didn't have documents to begin with. I have done as much research as I could on Boo Boo's ethnic background, and his supposed Native blood comes from his dad's side, but it's clear that his dad has very little Native blood himself. Boo Boo has also never given back to reservations. Don't get me wrong, I love Boo Boo Stewart. He is one of my celebrity crushes. I just think that there are plenty of talented Native American actors, actresses who deserve these roles. You need more representation. What is something that doesn't sit right with you?
Diane Keaton winning an Oscar for Annie Hall. I love Diane Keaton, but the Oscars are meant to celebrate acting, and she wasn't acting in that movie. She was literally playing herself. She plays Woody Allen's quirky girlfriend, opposite Woody Allen, who is also just playing himself. And she was Woody Allen's quirky girlfriend. She even provided her own wardrobe, like she just wore her own clothes. Also, little known fact, Diane Keaton is a stage name. Her real name is Diane Hall. She goes by Annie.
What is something that doesn't sit right with you?
Men that don't help their baby mother when she needs money. Guess what, bro? If she needs it, your kids need it.
What is something that doesn't sit right with you?
How many of you guys know this song? Or what about this song? How many of you guys know who sings those songs? If you guessed Black Box or CNC Music Factory, you're half right. The singer's name is Martha Wash. See, in the late 80s and early 90s, she worked with both CNC Music Factory and Black Box, just laying down vocals for demo tracks, which would later be used for their singles and for their albums. But the problem is she was never credited for any of her contributions, nor did she ever perform with the group publicly or appear in any of the music videos. They had models stand in for her, and she ended up suing RCA Records and Sony Records for fraudulent packaging and commercial appropriation, which is what I believe led to her being blackballed by the industry, so much so that BET at their Black Girls Rock Awards show a couple years ago made a tribute to black women in house music and didn't include her.
What is something that doesn't sit right with you?
In the early 2000s, there was a pop singer named Hoku. She's best known for two singles, Perfect Day and Another Dumb Blonde. Both of those songs are from soundtracks of early 2000s movies, Legally Blonde and Snow Day. Why the fuck is the song about blondes on the soundtrack to the movie about a great day, but a song about perfect days is on the soundtrack for the movie about blondes?
What is something that doesn't sit right with you?
So like every year I go down the Selena Quintanilla rabbit hole. And one thing that just does not sit right with me is that Yolanda Saldivar is still in prison and not dead. And maybe that sounds harsh for me to say that, but when I look at the case and the rabbit hole every single year, it just blows my mind and it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense that like Selena met up with her the night before and then had to turn around and come back because she would not get those documents. And then it blows my mind that like Chris didn't even know where Selena was going. Like that was like his last time seeing his wife and he didn't even think to ask where she was going. Like, by the time Chris even got all of the news, like, everything had already happened. And that's just so fucked up to me. Her death will always be so fucked up to me because it just did not have to happen. And I honestly think about sometimes how Yolanda represents, like, what stan culture is, like, way before we even had the term for it.